Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of the Team Lead Talks podcast. I'm your host out of Alexandria, Virginia, Andrew Becker. Special guest on today's show, I have Courtney Poulos. Let me see if I get this right. You're the co-founder and owner of ACME in Los Angeles and the co-founder of ACME in Florida.
You got it wrong.
Man.
I'm the founder and CEO of ACME in Los Angeles and the co-founder of ACME Florida.
All right, so just the co-founder stuff I got wrong. At least I tried, right?
Yeah, you did try. That's all right.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, good start, Courtney, on my end. So let's just jump right into this, Courtney, if we can. For those that don't know you yet, can you give a high-level overview of who you are and what you do in Florida and Los Angeles?
Sure thing. Yes, I am a real estate broker. I started in real estate in 2005. I've been a broker owner for 15 years. And you could call that kind of a team lead. Our brokerage is a boutique design brokerage. So we have anywhere between 25 and 45 agents at one time over the course of years. So it's a collaborative group. So I've always run it a little bit like a collaborative team. Unlike a lot of brokerages where people are all the time on their own, here it's a hybrid mix of independent agents and collaborative deals. And then ACME Florida is a partnership with Heather Unger, who is a boutique owner of a small, really cute, designy boutique in Orlando, and joined along with ACME to partner for our branding and philosophy. And she's an incredible partner and sells Central Florida. So that happened in 2021. Yeah.
So, Courtney, what did you do before, if you don't mind me asking, like, what was your career path before you got into real estate? Yeah, what led you to kind of make that transition into real estate?
I did everything, Andrew. I don't know what I didn't do. I have a crazy origin story, if we want to call it that. So I'll start by saying I started college very, very young, and I was kind of already on my own, working 3 jobs, including a full-time job in PR by the time I was like 18. I was a junior in college at University of Maryland and working in Washington, D.C. I worked for the Capitol Hill Women's Political Caucus. So I got to go onto go to Congress to do our meeting. It was really cool. I worked as an editor for University Reporter magazine. I worked as an intern for Ross Records in Maryland. And then I was working at Fenton Communications in DC in PR. All of these things actually contributed to my real estate career ultimately. But when I moved to LA, I decided to become an actor and a singer. And I lived in the artist world, which guess what meant I was still working 3 jobs. But now I'm a waitress, I'm a front desk person, I'm a juice bar girl, I sell tiles on Rodeo Drive. I did everything. It was a whole hustle. And, believe it or not, real estate is the first place where I've ever been able to apply both the sensibilities of service and the kind of strategic intelligence of marketing and public relations all into one career. So for me, it's really a natural fit. I built the company from the ground up, kind of DIY. I definitely think if I had to do it again, I would have applied certain different principles. Mm-hmm. But I'm very proud of what it is that I built. And, we fought through many different changing market conditions. There have been some that are super easy. And in reality, I built my business when we were coming out of the 2008 crisis. So, the idea that a down market means an agent should leave the industry is actually, you got to turn that on its head, because it's usually a moment of huge opportunity. Right now, we're in this like weird middle space. So I find myself talking to our agents about this middle space and what opportunities there are there, because I think there are a lot.
Courtney, you said something as you started off in the brokerage, that career side, that you made some mistakes. You wish you had kind of done things differently. Yeah. The MO of this podcast, Courtney, is Team Lead Talks, like for team leaders, people who might be struggling, who might have a team that are looking to optimize or start a team. So can you share some of the lessons or mistakes that you made early on that you wish that maybe someone can pick up on here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, because of here's the thing. I think all of us, if we look at ourselves from a psychological point of view, We probably have spent some of our adult life amending past childhood traumas or trying to recover from them or dominate them. And I'm no exception. For me, money was always an issue when I was younger. So for me, I built what I call the quality of life brokerage. It wasn't about trophies and sales dollars. It was about, are you able to live the life you want to live? And I want to give all my agents the tools to do that. And as a result, I hired sometimes agents who just got their license, who were friends, or I hired assistants who I believed in their possibility and their transformation, and I was so invested emotionally in some of the hires that I didn't do the things that I now know are really important to people. For example, I didn't set performance metrics. I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be the team leader that's like, if you don't sell this many houses, then you can't be on the team. That was a mistake because, in fact, you can, in the famous words of Elon Musk, judge someone's, I'm paraphrasing, but judge what someone's going to do by where the incentives are. And in fact, human beings are much more incentive-based than I am. Or I should say, my incentive wasn't money. My incentive was not worrying about money, if that makes sense. And so for the people who are money motivated, goal oriented, or need recognition, I don't feel that I was always able to give them that attention. I didn't even realize it was a problem until I lost some bigger performers who I realized really just wanted a pat on the back or wanted, essentially one way or the other, a trophy for their hard work. I didn't think that that feeling came from me as a team lead. I thought that came from their clients or their money or, their constantly being able to post just solds and the business and the action. I didn't realize they needed it from me. Okay. So that was a lesson. And then also a lot of brokers and team leads were agents before, right? Especially brokers. You were agents and you sit there, I'm giving my money away. I'm giving too much of my money away. So I want to create something where people get to keep more of their money. Like that's the idea. You're trying to solve for this. I'm spending a lot of money on a broker that's not giving me anything back, right? Mm-hmm. So by getting your broker license, you get to keep 100%. You can offer people higher splits, etc. Well, the problem with that over the course of years is that running an operation has become increasingly expensive, and what agents expect from their brokerage is increasingly demanding, and they want a higher split for it as well. So your margins get really, really narrow, really narrow. And in fact, without the performance metric piece, it can sink you. Yeah. And I think in markets like these where you're seeing a lot of people coming together, affiliations, mergers and acquisitions, it's for that reason. It's just not profitable the way that it was, before. And the final thing that I would recommend to anyone who is thinking about becoming a team lead or a broker owner is take a class in negotiation. Take a class in negotiation, because even if you are an extraordinary negotiator for your clients, which many of us are, when it comes to negotiating for your own self-interest, for example, drawing a line in the sand and saying, listen, I adore you. You're an amazing talent, but in order for you to be part of our team from a financial point of view, I have to ensure that you're performing or producing at a certain level, or I lose money and I can't run a business that way. So once you prove yourself, you're in, or whatever. Like really, really being able to negotiate your value as a broker or a team lead and stand behind it and not give in is extremely important. Like those recruitment interviews, I don't like them. I'll be honest, Andrew. I hate them. I hate them. Because I feel like there's somehow, maybe it's ChatGPT or maybe it's human nature. I don't know. I end up sitting across from I've sold like as collectively as our team, let's say around, I think we did the numbers recently. It was like 1.72 billion. Okay. Over the course of owning Acme. Mm-hmm. But I'm sitting across from somebody who just got their license, right? Never sold any real estate in their life. And they say, what can you do for me? Right. And I'm thinking, wow, this is a strange reversal of energy, mm-hmm. And I don't like it. But I think that for any team lead that wants to recruit high performing talent, you have to be able to have those conversations with in an empowered way that shows that there's a potential for a rise. Read the person, make sure that you're able to give them what it is you see that they need or what it is why are they coming to you? And then maybe if in fact you don't want to have those kind of entry level recruitment things, draw a line. So what we did is we made a 5-deal minimum requirement for all agents coming to the firm. And then that automatically eliminates like so many people who get their license and decide not to do the job.
Yeah.
So already just saved so much energy.
Filtering out. So the 3 takeaways there: recognition and realizing the importance of it. If you're a team leader and or a team leader / brokerage owner, accountability, like holding people to standards, which also, Courtney, in my opinion, when we started holding people accountable on the team, it made it just better for everyone as well, because it did weed out the people that didn't want to be held accountable. And that's a major red flag if you're listening out there. People who don't want to be held accountable don't want to be held accountable for a reason. And I think it's a little bit unprofessional in my opinion. So kind of like you said, with the 5-deal minimum, it kind of plays into that same arena there. But that is also one thing that we did. We didn't want, on our team, we didn't want newbies. We wanted experienced people that kind of were struggling, but needed help. And then also wanted to be held accountable, also wanted recognition, but then also wanted to come into a culture. How important is culture too? Because more often than not, we had toxic people that were absolutely killing it, but it killed the culture. And over time, as I got older and learned more and got lessons learned and experience, it's like, I'd rather not have a toxic top producer than it, because when he or she walked into a room, it just sucked all the negative energy you're talking about. So how important is culture here?
I hear that. Oh gosh, it's a moving target, first of all.
Yeah.
I've recently learned, and this is a tough learning thing, is that, well, I shouldn't say that. Human nature is what it is, right? What I don't like and won't tolerate are having people on my team that I feel I cannot trust. Like where anything I say to them somehow makes it around somehow. If I'm having a confidential conversation with someone, I don't expect that that's then going to be shared to other people. Like, I don't like that. And I draw a really harsh red line there. For me, it's a non-negotiable. Also, people gossip, and I feel like they gossip about the people who are doing the best, and I don't like that either. I don't think that helps. So I've been lucky in that the people who have been the most kind of participants of that, I feel like, self-segregate in some way and then maybe end up leaving.
Right.
We have a really high retention rate, and I feel like it was tested during COVID. I'm going to tell you, I, as a human being, respect the independence of individuals under all circumstances when it comes to their health choices, life choices, everything. I really do not take the government line on much of anything. And so when COVID happened, we sell real estate. This is what we do. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel it was my job or role to publicly take a stand on vaccines.
Sure.
Which is a position that at the time, I guess, was controversial. Yeah. Interestingly, same people that were very animated about the vaccine are the same people who are my body, my choice people on other issues, but I'm not. I'm across the board like a libertarian. I really believe you get to make the risk with your body, with your children's bodies and all that stuff. Okay. That's just my philosophy. So I refused to take a public stand, and it caused like a mutiny at the company. We had one agent who tried to, I think, influence all the other agents to either pressure me or leave. And at the end of the day, even the agents that were also kind of advocates for the vaccine, who really believed that it could work and took their own public stance in their private life about that, stayed with me because they respected me and understood how I respect them, So it was a culture test. And I feel like we really won that. And the only people that ended up leaving were the people associated with that agent who caused that crisis.
Blessing.
And so, what's that?
That was a blessing in disguise.
It's a blessing. And I think those things keep coming up. Like, I think you can never really solve for culture because human beings continue to change. But what I wish I had more access to, and in fact, it's on my to-do list, is to make sure that there is a pipeline between the agents and me in such a way they feel they could bring up something if it's bothering them without it becoming a thing. Right. Because maybe they protect me. I don't know. But I love everybody, and I'm always for everyone's success, and it doesn't matter to me, I don't prioritize people by their sales volume or anything like that. If anything, for me, I prioritize people by well, I give the most attention to the people who are the most engaged, like the people who show
Mhm.
up the most, ask the most questions, want my feedback. Like I'm always there for that. So they're getting more of me than the people who work from home or, aren't really showing up for the meetings and aren't really participating. They're not getting any of me. And I'm not going to do the work to pull you along more than I already have done. That's like that's the
Yeah.
new revelation. And in team
Yeah.
leadership, I'm sure you can attest, you also as a team leader evolve.
Hmm.
You start out thinking, if I give them everything, then they're going to love me, stay forever, and do really well.
Yeah.
But in fact, sometimes you give everything and nobody uses it. You give a tool, nobody uses. You show up for a meeting, nobody comes. Like there's an evolution.
It happens, and certainly happens the same regard where you give everything, they use it, and then they get a better offer, and the offer or the number just makes them leave, and you're like, where was that lawyer? Like, what happened? And obviously, it's
Hmm.
all different case by case everywhere, but it's never ending, is it, Courtney?
Yeah, it's never ending. But I will say this, another thing that I've learned, because, I've lost agents who have chosen to, like beloved agents who have chosen to take a different opportunity or whatever. And I don't take that personally because I understand everybody's on their own journey. And, but I will say that in my experience, growth and success are the individual agent's responsibility, and the team leader is there as a coach, mentor, platform partner, so you're not feeling like a single mom or dad out in the world, so that you have somebody with you along for the ride and a support person. But we are not responsible for your success. And the agents that jump from brokerage to brokerage or team to
Yeah.
team thinking there's some holy grail that's going to make their solve all their problems and make their life immediately better and their sales go through the roof, I think are looking in the wrong place for
You look in the
success.
mirror. Yeah, work ethic, personal work ethic. I had someone on the show yesterday. We talked about this in a lot of detail, but like no one's coming to save anyone on your team, Courtney. That's not your
Right.
job. You're not gonna go to their house and pull them out of bed to start making calls or whatever you do for lead gen at 9 a.m. They have to want it.
Yep.
If they don't want
Yep.
it, then you're gonna see that in their production. You're gonna see that in them not showing up to your team meetings. And the people that want it are gonna be the people that are gonna ask the most
They're
questions.
there.
They're the ones willing to learn, to put themselves out there, to look stupid sometimes, but those are the people that are going to be growing in the right direction.
Absolutely. It's so critical. I think, I do think there's a generational aspect to that too. There's a flip side. When I first got into the business, listen, I love old ladies. Okay. I was a grandma's girl, but there was kind of an old lady quality to a lot of the brokerages that I was started my career at. And what I mean is that there were people who I think have been there for like 40 years or something like that.
Right.
And I
Right.
don't know if that's the best solution either. Like you do need, especially now when we have so much technology influencing our day-to-day execution of
Yeah.
our tasks, you do need to be at a place that has growth that supports your personal growth. And even for us, like we have to always consider like, where are we stuck? Where are we not getting the opportunities that we think we deserve? Where is our growth limited? Is it in headcount? Which it never isn't. It's never in headcount. Is it in technology? Sometimes I think, okay, this tool will help us. Like this is a better CRM or this is a better AI tool or this thing. But the relief is temporary
Yeah.
because I've had successful agents who still use Excel as their CRM. Okay. So like, it doesn't matter. There are agents in LA who are top performers who don't use a CRM and have Rolodexes and make phone calls.
Yeah.
They make phone calls to their clients. They invest in their client relationships. And in fact, I'm glad that we're talking about this right now because I think that's the space where like the millennial agent gets a little bit confused. They're very much like they're the people who stay in a job for 2 years and then go to the next opportunity and they never sit still long enough to grow in one space. And I do think there's a ton of value to growing in one space if the growth opportunity is there. Like if you're not limited you know, by the brokerages, I don't know, outdated, whatever.
Yeah.
But, I'm just, I'm just thinking about, where we have to be able to pivot to be successful, and how we have to continue to always evaluate where we're stuck and solve for that. And it's an ongoing negotiation, and that's so important for retention. Millennials need to stay put for a minute and let people coach them, accept a little bit less in commission split in exchange for a larger
Yeah.
opportunity, or at least learning the job so that you can consider yourself an expert, because that's what's going to transcend the technological revolution that could impact us in the future. Is that they will try, prop tech will try its best to reduce our jobs down.
Yeah.
Those of us who came before the tech really understand that the value of an agent is in the non-technological pieces.
The
It's not in
relationship
the,
part.
it's in relationships, it's in negotiation, hurdle jumping, experience, and also psychology, advising, we're always dealing with people in change, right? So it's in understanding that where people are at in their process, in their thinking. The sales part is helping people achieve their outcome minus the fear. Like you're able to minimize their hurdles so they can get what they really want. That's an art. That's a skill. And that's what closers have that people who are new don't understand. They see one transaction at a time, and they
Yeah.
look at split numbers, and they jump brokerage to brokerage based on split numbers or downstream or whatever. I don't know that that's the answer 100%. I think that in and of itself is problematic. So I would encourage any like mid-level performers to stay put and communicate with your team lead if there's something you feel you're missing. And so that you're not catching them off guard by saying, hey, I know you've invested 5 years in me and I'm finally selling really well now, but somebody else just offered me 5% more, so I'm out of here. If you just invest in the relationship with your team lead too, you might find that there's a way to get everything that you want in-house without having to start over and take the risk of maybe not loving the place you go. And then you're in a position where you leave someplace you love over something that is not even that you make this knee-jerk decision about, and then you have too much pride to be able to even go back, or maybe they wouldn't take you back, because it feels like there's a lack of trust there. So you really can ruin your relationships if you operate that way and get a reputation. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen agents like brokers call other brokers, or leads call other leads. This guy, yeah, he was just there for 2 years, he's there for 1 year, like, what's his deal? You get a
I always,
reputation.
yeah, Courtney, I always thought it was funny. I won't obviously name names here, but people that came through our team or our brokerage at the time, and then were exactly what you just said a year or 2 years later. Oh, now I'm here. And they're because of this, it's going to be amazing. A year later, I'm happy to announce I'm here. And you're like, this is just a classical brokerage hopper blaming whatever they want to blame. It doesn't matter. Like, you could be at your own brokerage, you could be at a KW, at a Sotheby's, anywhere. If you don't have that work ethic, your brokerage is not like, we see this all the time. And I don't know how active you are in social media, but in the bigger groups, it's like, I was promised leads at KW or at this brokerage or at this, and they're not giving it to me. I'm like, don't rely on other
Yeah.
people. Why put that? If all this is like a lead gen math game, kind of marketing is a lead gen math game, when you really come down to like a business operation, why would you put that in the hands of anyone else but yourself?
That's amazing. I love that you said that. Yeah, you know what? Actually, that brings up for me is that when we talk about evolving trends, I remember whenever brokerages, and like it was when the internet started being it was when IDX came out. I'll be honest. That's when it was. It was like somewhere in the early 2000s, where it was like, oh my gosh, you can have search on your website. Now people are getting leads from the website and they're distributing them, right? Like you're getting, so I remember that being a reason why people would go from brokerage to brokerage. You're 100% right, but they could be totally trash leads. It doesn't matter anymore. Further, that's when individual websites became like CourtneyPoulos.com would become like a thing. And then for a while there, the individual website, you saw people didn't update them. It was just a business card. Nobody used the IDX. Like Zillow came out, Redfin came out. Like
Oh, yeah,
nobody was using anybody's search portal on their websites, right? And their
right.
websites were just kind of nothing. And then SEO comes out with Google search, and then everybody's putting keywords in their website. So then everything looks very non-specific and very robotic and not personal. Okay. And now we're at this moment of AEO where where if you want to be visible, which is the real war we're all about to fight, visibility is our new war. So buckle the F up, because this is the make or break for any agent right now, is visibility.
Yeah.
So if you don't have apparently, this is what I learned, like personal local website, your personal website is being prioritized. So now all of a sudden your personal website's important again. And those SEO tools don't matter anymore. Now it's about AEO, answer engine optimization. So in all of your posts, you need to be answering the questions that people are typing into ChatGPT when they're using it for search, the way that they used Google in the past. So you have to revisit these things all of the time. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for lead gen, it can start with and end with, on some level, your personal website, your personal social, your personal website. But I agree. I think there are some brokerages that made that promise so many times and not delivered on it that people don't believe it anymore. They always say what it is they're promising, and then very clearly like, we're promising you this and we're promising you that. And then when you get there, it's like, no, I've had that experience too. I went to a brokerage that I thought was really cool and hip and young and, me. Like, I thought it was so me. It was like an anti-brokerage brokerage. It's kind of what it looked like. And I was invisible, Andrew, totally invisible. Nobody cared that I was there. I felt unseen. And I went to the broker and I said, hey, so point me in the right direction to who you think I would make a good match with. Like, I could host their opens or become maybe a teammate or something like that. And he was like, well, we don't really do that here. You could start by sending some postcards north of Los Feliz Boulevard. And I was like, really? I could start by sending postcards? That doesn't help, And I realized that no matter what promises are made, either it's my job as an agent to forge relationships with other people on our team that offer collaboration, or I need to go out and create it myself. So I opted to go out and create it myself. But I do think there are possibilities for those relationships to happen inside a team or inside a brokerage without it being simply a hand, please give me more, sir, kind of a thing. Because especially in moments like these where the buyer pool has shrunk, it's not COVID times anymore, right? We got 6.5% interest rates or 6.25%. It's everybody's fighting for the same smaller piece of the pie. You have to do the work on the relationships with your sphere. You have to have systems. I know we say that all the time. There's no question about it. Every agent can look at what they're doing and see holes in their systems. I would be a liar if I said even I have holes in my systems, and I'm always evaluating and trying to make them tighter and smoother and better, more automatic. But
right.
That's the only way to go now. That and visibility, systems and visibility are going to be critical. If you have neither of those moving forward, you're going to get lost in the sauce. It's sink or swim right now.
100%. I'll say 2 key kind of takeaways, 2 of them from what you just said. Perception is big in real estate. Like what you see in a brokerage, what you see people talking about on social, it's all perceived value, right? You peel back the onion on 99% of them, I guarantee it's not going to be as, social media in general is kind of like that. The second thing is what we've talked about before is control all the variables that you can control. Stop blaming anyone else. Stop saying, oh, they said this, they said that. Like, just go do it. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter what they said. Like, if you're not going to put in that sweat equity, that time, that energy, that effort, then you're not going to be successful long term. Like the people that are killing it do that. They work really hard. They get optimized and more efficient as they go with systems and tech that we were just talking about as well. So that's two key takeaways that I got from you, Courtney, from that last piece. I know we've gone a little bit over, but Courtney, I want to give you an opportunity to, like, if anyone's listening right now that wants to reach out to you, whether it's down in Florida or in California, like, how are you found? How does someone get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
I have so many handles for you to follow. My personal handle is at The Clean Close, CLOSE. I have a podcast called The Clean Close, which you can find at our YouTube media channel. It's called youtube.com/ACME Real Estate. I also have at ACME Real Estate. That's our brokerage in LA. At ACME Florida is our handle for Florida. And yeah, I would just absolutely love to hear from anybody who tuned in today or in the future. I'm very excited, all things considered, even though we have major like industry news happening right now, lawsuits and all of the things. I still believe in the power of the human agent, and I'm excited to be an ambassador for the future of our industry.
Yeah, definitely applaud you on that and agree with you wholeheartedly. Also, we will include all of your handles and ways to get in touch with you, Courtney, in the description of this episode. So if you're watching this on YouTube, just look below and then you can reach out to Courtney and follow her and DM her if you need to. So, Courtney, thank you so much for.
You're so welcome.
A lot of fun, great discussion. We could have taken this a lot of different ways, but I think you hit on some important stuff, especially in today's environment and landscape. So I appreciate your candidness and you coming on and sharing your journey so far in this career. Stick around. Got to talk to you about a couple things afterwards, but thank you so much for coming on, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thanks so much. I'd be happy to.
All right. Bye-bye.